I've talked about this many times, but your email list is the most important asset that you have in your business, specifically an online business, and even more specifically as an online course creator. Now, why is it so important? Well, because it's your insurance, it's your security blanket, and it's what you own inside of your business. You don't own social platforms. You don't own Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, any platform, YouTube, for example, and they can change the algorithms at any minute, which affects your reach and being able to impact the people who need you. Whereas on an email list, you are in control of how you reach people and who you're actually inviting onto that list, which makes it one of the most profitable assets in your business. I recently heard from a study that said that 30 to 40% of your revenue in your business should be coming from your email list. Now, I hear a lot of people talking about having to build a landing page, an opt-in page, a freebie, and all of these things and all of this tech, and you don't have to. There are very grassroots ways to start building an email list that I've tested with my own clients throughout the years, and they're much easier to get started, to validate, and to really prove your messaging before you go to all the effort of wasting time building out some technical, complicated opt-in. So we're going to talk about those today and a whole lot more. If you're excited, give this video a like. Be sure to subscribe for new videos every week. I talk about building a peaceful, purposeful, and profitable online education business so you can make an impact on the people who need you while smashing the income ceiling at the same time. And I actually have a free guide that if you haven't downloaded it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It is so in-depth. It's the 10 steps to smash the income and impact ceiling while also detaching your time from your income by building an online program that impacts the people that you want to impact the most. And it gives real examples of exactly how to do just that. So be sure to grab that at the link in the description below, and let's dig into the details for today's video. And before I even do that, I did want to share with you a personal stat for myself. Inside of our business, I have grown my email list to multiple hundreds of thousands of people, to be totally transparent with you. And I've learned a lot of lessons through that process. And to be fair, if I look at, our list size in comparison to our impact and our business stats when it comes to the finances, having a smaller, more targeted list has actually been the most fruitful. So I really need you to hear me when I say this is about quality and the quality of the people you have on your list for so many reasons, but I'm going to share the stats behind that shortly rather than having quantity. You don't need a ton of people on your list to have a wildly profitable business. So what are the 6 steps that we're going to dig into today? Okay, well, first, identifying the right email subscribers. Number 2, the research strategy that grows a targeted email list. Number 3, 3 creative and quick ways to grow your list without a freebie. And 4, build a relevant exchange of value. 5, create the tech. And 6, do the math and drive traffic. Now, most importantly, you need to start with the end goal in mind when you're creating an email list, and that is knowing exactly who you're looking to attract, which we're going to dig into in a second. But generally, you're building an email list for business purposes. So when you're building an email list for business purposes, ultimately you're looking to sell something. So whether you have something to sell right now or you're going to build something to sell later, you need to know who you're serving and ultimately what you're going to be selling in order to make your email strategy to grow your list as effective as possible. So always start with the end goal in mind and work backwards from there. So let's get into step number 1. So number 1 is identifying the right email subscribers. Why is this so important? Okay, so there are 3 key metrics when it comes to building an email list that are crucial to your success when it comes to that email list and actually being able to generate revenue from it and really nurture the relationship with your ideal client. They are things like CTR and open rates. And the final piece is really domain reputation. What that means is your open rate is ultimately looking at, okay, when you send out an email to your email list, how many of the people on that list are actually opening it? And anything above, 15, 20% is actually fairly decent. I know it doesn't sound very high, but it's actually fairly decent. Anything below that, you're getting into a danger zone. And it's telling your email list provider that most of the people on your list aren't really interested, and it's going to start filtering you more into spam and making your emails more undeliverable than they should be. The second piece is CTR. So it means, okay, you send out the email and then you have maybe a call to action inside of your email or something that people can click on, whether that's to go buy something or check something out on your website. Obviously, seeing that CTR at a higher rate is really important because if people are clicking, it means they're engaged and you're attracting the right people to your list, which again supports the health of your overall email list. And the final piece is domain reputation. If you start sending out emails and you have the wrong people on your list, people will actually start reporting you. And what happens when people start reporting you when they receive your emails is that it does affect your domain reputation. So whatever your website domain is that you're sending your emails from, it can start to have a negative impact on it, which means that it's making your emails, again, even more undeliverable to your subscribers on your list. And so it hurts your reach, it hurts your impact, and it hurts the effectiveness of your list. So I hope that makes sense as to why it's so important to know exactly who you want on your list and to send appropriately rather than just trying to mass market to everybody. And what this comes back to is something that we call the 3 factors. So when you're identifying who you want on your list, you want to think about who is my ideal client, where are they at on their journey when they need my help the most and what I have to offer the most, and what's the outcome that they're seeking, and making sure every email that you send is reflective of that so it actually lands and resonates with those people, so it supports really healthy statistics for your email list. Number 2, the research method that grows a targeted email list. Now, I'm gonna talk about 3 quick and creative ways to grow your email list without a freebie in the next step. And this is one of those ways, but I really wanted to go in depth on this so you truly understand it. So this is a process that we implement with our clients, and it allows them to grow a targeted list of 50 people who are their ideal clients right off the bat. This is without using any tech, building any funnels, building any sort of opt-in page or any landing page. It's just by simply building relationships. And that is what's most important. In any kind of business, think about pre-social media. You didn't need tech to generate clients. You didn't need a website to generate clients. You didn't need social media to generate clients. So this is based around, if all else fails, how do you build relationships and build a really targeted list? Okay, so before I get into how you do this, I wanted to share an example of one of our clients recently. She built a list from scratch for her business of 61 people. 61, okay, keep that number in mind. Those 61 people were perfect ideal clients for her, as we talked about before. They were a match for all 3 factors. And she ended up selling her program, the prototype version of her program, and she generated over $100,000 in revenue in 2.5 weeks from using this method with a list of 61 people. Out of those 61, 33 people enrolled into her program. Wild, right? So this is the value of doing this in a very grassroots way. She didn't have any tech, any funnels set up. She had just simply followed this process. And the topic of our program, no, it's not about making money or getting rich quick or any of those things. We help people in all different niches. And the topic of her program was actually in the health and wellness space. So the beauty of this process is that it's not about selling. It's about research, as I mentioned. So what you're doing is you're ultimately identifying where are my ideal clients hanging out, whether it's offline or online, and how can I start building relationships and conversations with them so that we can provide value and also learn from them what they actually need. Because the biggest mistake people make when they start building an online business or an email list is they start providing things that aren't actually going to resonate with their ideal client, and they just start guessing. So you need to know exactly what people need before you can create it. So I'm going to talk about where to find them in a second, but the first thing you need to understand is the process. If you have an existing audience, you can start testing this with your existing audience, whatever platform that might be on. If you have no audience at all, this works and you can build a list from scratch, as I just mentioned, and many of our clients have. All you're going to do is you're going to build a simple spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is going to have their first name, last name. It's going to have a column for their social media handle that you found them through. And it's going to have a column for whether or not this person was a great match for your 3 factors of your ideal client. And then it's going to have a column as to whether or not they want to receive updates from you or any sort of value from you via an email list. And what you're going to do when you find these people is you're going to actually set up interviews with them on Zoom. Yes, I said interviews on Zoom. The basic way of doing this, which does not work nearly as well because you miss out on so much nuance and actual intel from people, is you send out a survey. That's not something we recommend. We actually want you to speak to these people. You set up interviews with them, you build a relationship with them, you ask them specific questions, and some of the questions you can ask to really understand what they do need from you are, number 1, what is your biggest frustration with blank? So whatever you want to help people with, make that the blank. What's your biggest fear about blank? The next question, if you were to search for a solution for this on Google or YouTube, what would you type into the search bar? That's going to give you the exact intel of what they're looking for, so you can create content and resources for them that are exactly what they need without having to guess. The next question is understanding what it is that they're seeking in terms of a transformation. So you want them to fill in the blanks of, I want to go from blank to blank so that I can blank. You want to know where they are now, where they want to go, and ultimately why that outcome is so important to them. And again, that's going to help you build really valuable, really targeted assets just for them that they're actually going to want so that they will be long-time loyal followers and clients of yours. So when you do this purely for research purposes, it means that you are doing such an amazing job at building a reciprocity relationship and an exchange of value because you actually are taking the time to listen to people who need your help. And then you're just creating the thing that they need. So you're not reading their minds, but it feels like you're reading their minds. And it creates that list of people who's going to be so engaged in whatever it is that you do moving forward and what you sell moving forward. So how do you find these people? How do you find what we call the ICA? So this is called our ICA process. It's a signature process inside of our Authority Accelerator program. It's different than what most people do when it comes to market research, and it's extremely effective. And it comes from my background in journalism, because I know that the more you can understand the person that you're trying to reach and serve, the more you can actually create the thing they need and want. So how you find them, number one, offline. So for example, in the health and wellness space, for that client that I was speaking of, she's talking to therapists, she's calling psychology schools and universities, she's talking to doctors in her local area. She is finding people offline and in her network who actually need the thing that she's going to create to set up these interviews. Online, she is going to Facebook communities that are focused on the topic that she's speaking about, and she's providing value, she's sharing her story, she's sharing her expertise. She's not having a call to action to say, book a call with me, but whoever engages with her content, she's then building a relationship by friending them and then starting a private message conversation with them. And if they are open to speaking to her about doing this research because she's not selling anything yet, then she's going to get on a call with them and ask those questions so she can really understand what to build for them. The other places you can look are Instagram hashtags that are related to what you want to help people with, LinkedIn profiles, searching out profiles that have the keywords that you're interested in supporting people with, and also YouTube videos and YouTube comment sections are so ripe with information of how you can help people and finding the right people that you can help. And this brings us to step 3 of the 3 creative and quick ways to build your email list without a freebie. So number 1 is what I just mentioned, which is simply the research process of building relationships, really listening to people and understanding how you can serve them. And once you have those calls and you notice, okay, this person is actually perfect for what I'm creating, you simply can ask them, I'm working on something that would really be helpful to you. Would you be interested in getting updates on it? Are you okay if I add you to my email list? And then you just add them to that spreadsheet, and that is your initial email list. Number 2, we're all about testing first, right? Because you don't want to spend a ton of time making something that you don't even know is going to work. So a whiteboard or a live training is a quick and creative way for you to build an email list. All you're going to do is pick a topic that you know is super relevant to your ideal client, and you're going to promote it and tell people that this is how you are going to help them solve whatever problem is that they need to solve. And you can do this on your existing platforms if you have them. If you don't have them, you can start sharing this with the people that you did these research calls with. That would be step number 1 if you don't have a list. And they will say, yes, I'm super interested. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to send you reminders about this via email. And they'll be on your list. And another really simple way to do this is on social media. If you have an existing audience, you can say, hey, I'm going to be doing a training on X topic. If you want in, comment with yes, and I'll direct message you the details. Via direct message, you would say, hey, the date of the training is going to be this, and I'm going to be sending out details via email. Is it okay if I grab your email so I can send the details to you? Again, easy way for you to just grab their email address and add it onto your spreadsheet, and that's going to build your preliminary list. And further to that, if you have people in your network or people you know who have an audience of ideal clients that would be great for this, that would be a match for who you want to attract to your email list, have them partner with you on it and share it out on their networks with their audience. And it's going to be a great exchange of value for their audience because it's going to be helpful to them. Ultimately, you just let them know, hey, I'm going to be doing this training on this date. If you want to tell your audience about it, I'd be so grateful. And you can just send them over to this post and they can comment yes, and I'll send them the details via direct message. This works really, really well and is super impactful in attracting even more people over to what you're doing. Now, because you're going to do this in a live training setting, you can do it on Zoom. You can do it on a social media platform. You can do it wherever you feel is most appropriate. And then you can take that recording and package it, and that can become your first freebie. And I'm going to talk about how to actually build that in a second, but that becomes your first freebie. You're not having to build it up front. You're actually going to test it and validate the messaging to make sure it works and it's something that people want. You're going to have some proof behind it because people will have attended and checked it out. And the other bonus of this is you can actually create another opt-in out of this, which would be a PDF or a guide that you can then share with these partners who have helped promote it, or even with your existing audience. And that's going to get even more people on your list. So you can simply say, hey, I have this guide all about solving X, Y, and Z. It's just a transcription reformatted of that live training. And if people want it, they comment yes, you send them a DM, you say, hey, I'd love to send this to you via email so you can have a copy of it. They give you their email address, you add them to the spreadsheet, and boom, goes the dynamite. You've got a very basic email list growing without having to do a whole bunch of technical work behind it. So you can prove it, validate it, and start impacting people. So you have the research process, And then you have the training option, which is super easy to set up. And then you have the third one, which is if you do have any kind of existing audience to start building an email list from scratch, just say, hey, I'm gonna start sending out really valuable resources on solving X problem. Is this something you're interested in? If it's on Instagram, you can do a poll in your story. Anybody who votes yes on that poll, send them a DM, same process. Say, hey, I'm gonna be sending out these emails regularly. Can I grab your email address so I can add you to the list? They will send that over to you. The other thing that you can do is on Facebook, set up a poll as well. If you have any sort of group or page, and do the same thing. And anyone who votes yes or comments below that poll, add them to the list. And you can also do this just via comments themselves. Say, yes, add me to the list in the comments below. I will DM you, I'll get your email address, and I will add you to the list. All simple ways to do this. Number 4, build a relevant exchange of value. Focus on the word relevant. Because again, it's important that you're only attracting the right people onto your email list for the health and the long-term sustainability of your email list. So I'll give you an example. I have a client who helps women of color create online ministries, and she knows specifically what they're after and what their ultimate outcome is of their business they're creating. So a bad opt-in for her would be a training or a guide or a checklist around building an online business in 90 days. That'd be bad, because that's going to attract anyone trying to create any kind of business, whether that be e-commerce, a coaching business, a course business, whatever it may be. So her opt-in instead is called 10 Steps to Build Your Part-Time Prophetic Christian Coaching Business to Consistent $5,000 Months in 90 Days. You know who that's going to attract? The right people. That's going to attract the people who are so excited for what she has to offer because it's exactly for them. So we've talked about creating a bare bones version of your opt-in. And that's where this can start. And again, you want to make sure it's hyper relevant to your audience and to who needs you the most and who you want to attract to the list. And one opt-in is good enough. It can be a checklist, a cheat sheet, a guide, whatever you want to create. It can also be a video recording of a training you've done, as we talked about earlier. Creating a bunch of different freebies is one, a lot of work for you. And number 2, it's also going to fragment your list a ton to all these different segments that may not actually need what you ultimately have to offer. Now, the software to actually create this once you've tested it is you can use Canva to create really beautiful guides, PDFs, checklists, etc. You can use PowerPoint or Keynote to also create them. And then the software to actually deliver it and to build out your email list once you've collected a certain amount, whatever that amount is for you, in your spreadsheet of email lists, and you've built out a really solid little start to it, you can import that list into a place like ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. MailChimp is probably the easiest to get started with. It's what I started with, and you can always migrate your list later on to something more robust like an ActiveCampaign. Now that brings us to step number 5, which is create the tag. So what I mean by this is, okay, you have this proven opt-in, something that people want. You've got the beginning stages of an email list in a spreadsheet. You're now moving that into and migrating that into a MailChimp, for example, or whatever platform is of your choice to host your email list. And from there, you're ultimately going to need to build out the pages required to get people to sign up for the email list, so you're not having to send DMs anymore to get people to sign up for it. So, and doing it in a very sort of organic way. So now you're going to build out a landing page and a thank you page. Those are the 2 keys to getting people to download on the landing page. So enter their email address and their information, their first name, last name, email address, so that you can send it to them. And then on the thank you page, it would just be a confirmation of they're receiving whatever it is that they're signing up for, and then it would go directly to their email inbox. So that is done through an email hosting platform like MailChimp. It can be done through ClickFunnels. It can be done through a whole bunch of things. But the whole point is you test it in a way that is non-techie first to prove it, and then you can upload that list once it's started to build on your spreadsheet into a place like MailChimp. Now, one thing that's really important is that in the beginning, when you're building out your list, you are going to be super intentional about it, so it's going to be really targeted. But as it grows, you do want to use things like tagging and segmenting so that you know exactly who is there for what. So let's say you do create, for whatever reason, multiple opt-ins or multiple vehicles to get on your list. You want to make sure that you're tagging people with whatever they actually downloaded to get on the list, so that you know, okay, this person is interested in dog tutorials and this person is interested in cat tutorials, so that you can segment and you're sending your emails to the right people. Because if you're sending a dog tutorial to a cat person, they're going to probably report you and your emails. They're probably not going to open it, which is going to hurt your reputation and also your open rates and the health of your email list, and they're definitely not going to click. So that goes back to those metrics earlier. You want to segment the list and tag the list, but that doesn't really come into play until you start really growing the list. And any email provider is going to have that ability for you to do that. Now, step number 6 is do the math and drive traffic. So in order to grow your email list, obviously you can do it in the very grassroots way that we mentioned earlier, just by setting up those one-to-one conversations and interviews, which works really effectively in the beginning. But then also you want to start driving more and more traffic to it. So there's so many vehicles that you can do that through. YouTube is a great one once you have validated messaging and you know exactly who you're serving and all of these things, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you might use. But here's a really important thing. You need to identify how many leads you actually need on your list. So let's say you want to generate 2 clients a month, and those 2 clients, you're gonna be charging $5,000 for whatever it is that you're selling. Let's say it's an online program. And based on an average industry standard of a 20% conversion rate, you would need to attract 10 leads per month to convert 2 clients. So that's not a ton to hit your targets and goals. So you do wanna think about, okay, well, how many people do I need on my list for this to actually be something that is going to sustain and support the business? Because you don't need hundreds of thousands, believe me, I've been there, in order to really make this a profitable and revenue driving asset in your business. And the final piece is just remember to continue to drive traffic to it. So if you're creating YouTube content and you are making a video that would be relevant to the person who would like to have that opt-in at their fingertips, mention it, promote it, put it in any bio that you might have on a social media platform. Make short form content if you're using a short form platform, and make videos that drive traffic to that opt-in specifically, and let people know that you have that as a resource to download. That's going to start building up your list at a much more rapid pace. And again, focus on the numbers you need, because you don't need everyone on the list, you need the right people on the list. And if you're struggling with how to create that kind of content, simple little script. Struggling with X? I've created a free guide to help you solve X problem. Download it at the link in my bio or download it below. Very simple. Problem, solution, give them what they need. So I want to know from you, in the most bare bones way, what is the first thing you can do to build your email list? And what's the topic going to be? I want to know in the comments below. Now, right on cue, I have created a free guide for you on the 10 steps to smash your income and impact ceiling and the process to follow to package your skill set and expertise into a highly scalable online education business. Be sure to grab that right now at the link in the description. Now, I hope this was helpful for you. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos every week on how to build a peaceful, purposeful, and profitable, and most importantly, super impactful online education business. And I have so many videos on how to build an online education business from scratch without an audience, and I feel like that might be really helpful for you to check out next. So check out this video next, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.